Web Marketing That Works podcast, episode 93, with today's guest, Clint Arthur.
Welcome to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. Come behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments and listen in as amazing guests confess the truth about what really works. Now, here are your hosts, Adam Franklin and Toby Jenkins.
My name's Adam Franklin, and you are listening to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. This is the show for people who love marketing on the web. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments so that I can show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. This show is brought to you by mine and Toby's book, which is also called Web Marketing That Works. And the special gift I have for you are the 33 marketing templates from the book. Now, you can get your hands on those at bluewiremedia.com.au/book. Now, today's guest is a bit out of left field. His name is Clint Arthur, but I say that because he specializes more in getting on TV, as in mainstream TV, not YouTube TV, as many listeners will think that I was probably going to say. But it's an interesting take on it because reaching out to these people, understanding how to speak to the right people, understand what makes a good story or a good pitch to these TV producers is really interesting. And then what to actually do with the assets, because getting on TV is one thing, but of course, if nobody knows you've been on TV, then what was the point of doing it? So he makes a big point of what to do with those media assets once you have actually achieved that. So I'll give you a quick bio on Clint. Well, he's a speaker, he's an author, he's an information marketer, and he draws on his successful entrepreneur's journey of over a decade, and he shares a lot of the tips in this interview. He's the #1 best-selling author of a number of books. One's called Break Through Your Upper Limits on TV. Another one is called The Last Year of Your Life. Another one is called What They Teach You at the Wharton Business School. He does lots of keynote speeches. He's been on lots and lots of different mainstream TV shows, especially in America. And he's going to share some tips with us today that can not only help us get on TV, but more importantly, to use that appearance as a credibility indicator and a stepping stone to attract better customers, higher fees, and more lucrative engagements. One other final little word of warning is there is, again, a little bit of traffic noise on my end of the conversation. Most will be edited out. It certainly won't detract from the interview's content, but if you are put off by a tiny bit of background noise, then again, just either skip this episode or bear with me, because I made a decision this time when I traveled overseas to continue with the podcast. I didn't want perfect to get in the way of progress, so I decided to do them anyway, even though there might be some slight interruptions. Last time I didn't, and I had a big lull in the podcast production, so that actually was quite detrimental, and I lost my rhythm. We sort of drifted off the What's Hot on iTunes. So this time I've decided to do it, and I hope that's all right with you, the listener. So with that, let's head over to the actual interview, and I'll catch up with you again at the end of the show. Cheers. My name's Adam Franklin, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Clint Arthur. How are you, Clint?
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Now, you are an expert in helping get people publicity and help growing their profile. I guess give us a little bit of a background as to what's brought you to this point in your career.
Back in 2010, I was promoting a self-help experience called The Last Year of Your Life. And I realized that anything I was doing in the self-help industry, my competition was Tony Robbins. My competition was Dr. Phil. My competition was big celebrities who I was trying to get as much money for people to do my work as big celebrities were charging to do theirs. And I realized that if I wanted to compete against Tony Robbins, that I had to start building up my profile and start being able to position myself as a realistic alternative choice to somebody who's big and huge and famous like Tony Robbins. So I called up a publicist in New York and I said, hey, get me on TV. I want to go on the Today Show and get famous. Basically, that's what I said. And she laughed at me. She said, Clint, they're never going to put you on the Today Show. You're a middle-aged guy nobody's ever heard of. You got a self-published book nobody's ever bought, no TV experience. Why would they put you on the Today Show? It's never going to happen. I said, all right, what can I do? She said, you got to go on local TV. I said, great, get me on Good Day New York. That's a local TV show. And when she stopped laughing at me the second time, she said, Clint, I think I got you figured out. You're not really a business book author. You're really a comedian, because that's the second hysterically funny thing you said to me in 30 seconds. They're never going to put you on NBC New York or Fox New York or any New York station. That's like almost the same as going on national TV. You're a middle-aged guy nobody's ever heard of. You got a self-published book nobody's ever bought, no TV experience. They're never going to put you on the number one market in America. You got to start on little tiny local TV shows in small cities around the country. And long story short, that's basically what I did. I paid her $6,000 to book my first 4 appearances, and they all sucked. I thought I'd be amazing because, I'd watched a lot of TV in my life, and I figured how hard could it be? And really, it's a lot harder than you think it is to be great on TV. So I'm watching the video clips with my wife, and I said, honey, if I'm ever going to make it to the Today Show, I got to do a lot more TV. And she said, that's true because you suck. And I said, okay, I'm going to call this publicist and have her book me on 10 more shows. And she said, whoa. Why do you keep paying that lady? Why don't you book yourself on TV? And I never thought about doing that before. I mean, how the hell do you book yourself on TV? It wasn't easy, Adam. And it took me a couple of months to figure out how to do it in a crude way. My first year of effort, I only booked 7 TV appearances myself. Then my second year, I got better at it. I booked 20 appearances. And then I started teaching people how to do it. In the intervening 3+ years, I've come up with a mathematical formula for how to book yourself on TV. I've taught over 400 authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs how to use it. And they've booked themselves on more than 1,996 TV appearances that I'm aware of. And basically, we start out on little tiny shows. We work our way up to medium-sized cities like Las Vegas, San Diego, and Hartford, Connecticut. And then we work our way all the way up to the biggest shows in the biggest cities, including Chicago, Los Angeles, New York. We've been on all of them. We've been on Good Morning America, The Today Show, Dr. Oz, CNN. We've been on all the biggest shows in America and in the world. And it all starts by starting out on little tiny shows and going on from there.
That's really interesting. So, Clint, what are some of the things that people can be doing to get that, if they are looking to book themselves on TV shows, at least starting small? What are some of the things that we need to be doing?
Number one, you have to have a realistic approach to what celebrity is and what it is not. Celebrity is not ego. Celebrity is not instant riches and fame and fortune. Celebrity is not anything more than marketing for your personal brand. And you have to start out small and work your way up. You have to take it step by step and use realistic approach to creating and growing and methodically, systematically, deliberately building your celebrity and your positioning as an authority, as an expert, as somebody special in the marketplace.
And do you reckon that building your profile online can be as effective, like doing podcasting or having your own YouTube channel and everything else like that, or not so much?
Here's the thing about all that. That's all good stuff, but everybody's doing that. And the way to stand out in a crowded marketplace is not to do the same thing as everybody else. The way to stand out in a crowded marketplace is to do things that nobody else is doing. So when you go on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the only people you see posting videos of themselves on TV news and talk show interviews are one of two people. Either they're giant celebrities or they're me and my students. That's it. It sounds kind of abrupt, but that's the truth. And everything today on the internet comes down to video marketing, really. I mean, podcasts are good, and I do a lot of podcast interviews. That's a good way to reach targeted niches. But, out of these podcast interviews, I send people to my website where immediately I'm deploying ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, TV news and talk show interviews as marketing assets to get these people indoctrinated into what I'm doing. So, I'll mention on this one, like I do on everyone. If you're interested in more information on me, go to clintarthur.tv. Clint like Clint Eastwood, Arthur like the King.tv. Like I'm looking forward to seeing you on television because I'm the only person who's using TV to help people to make their dreams come true.
Okay, interesting. So if you do want to stand out, then, go for those big TV networks. Now, how about in terms of reaching out or identifying who to be talking to in the first place? Do you use directories or do you use social media to find out who the show producers are? What's your approach for actually reaching out and connecting with the right people? Here, Clint.
I believe it is not who you know, but what you know. And it really doesn't matter who the producer is on a given day. The only thing that matters is, are you speaking to somebody who can book you on a show? So, I provide my students with my personal Rolodex of every TV news and talk show station in America. That's ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox, right? But a lot of people are too concerned about the names in the directory. It really doesn't matter what the name is. What matters is, do you have a buyer on the line? Do you have a producer who can book you on the show? That's the only thing that matters. And those people change from day to day. Sometimes they're out on vacation. When they're out on vacation, talk to somebody else who can book you on the show. That's all that matters.
Okay. Now, how about some of the common mistakes you see people make when they're trying to do this themselves?
The number one mistake people make is they go on TV in their own hometown first. That's the dumbest thing you can do. Because what your goal should be is to become a regular recurring guest in your own hometown stations so that you can roll out of bed and have an easy stroll up the street to get on TV, or whenever there's a last minute cancellation, that producer is going to call you up and invite you to come on and fill in some time when somebody else canceled out on them. So the reason why people go on in their own hometown is, number one, it's the easiest place to get on. Number two, they're lazy and they don't want to get on an airplane or drive a couple hours to go some other TV station or other TV market where it's more of a hassle. See, my big problem with people is that they're lazy. They're lazy. They don't want to put out effort. They don't want to spend money. All these things that you don't want to do, those are the things you need to do in order to differentiate yourself from your competition and to be a good businessman. Like one of my mentors, Dan Kennedy, I'm his Information Marketer of the Year at GKIC. I won the award. And Dan Kennedy says when he's designing marketing programs for his clients, and man, this guy has been doing it for 40 years. And he says when he's designing these marketing programs for his clients, he puts so many steps. He makes it so difficult to execute these programs that even if the competition knew what to do, they still wouldn't do it because they'd be too lazy and wouldn't want to invest the time, money, or resources to make it happen. And that's exactly what business people need to be doing. They need to stop being lazy. They need to stop taking the easy way out. They need to stop doing what everybody else is doing because it's what's in fashion or what's easy to do. They need to do the hard things that nobody wants to do. There's a great saying, entrepreneurs do the things that other people don't want to do so that they can enjoy the fruits of those labors for years and years to come. And I really believe in that kind of an attitude and a philosophy.
Okay, so once you've had these TV appearances and whatnot, then how do you take that publicity and that celebrity and use that in your marketing business and your information marketing business that you spoke about and turn that into revenue?
One of the immediate things that you get from being on TV, aside from developing your character, your charisma, your poise, your abilities as a speaker, your self-confidence, aside from all that, one of the immediate assets that you gain are marketing videos produced by ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, TV news and talk shows. These are the best producers in the world. And when you go in and you're a guest on their show, you come out with a video clip. That video clip is now a marketing asset that you need to deploy throughout all your social media. Like I was talking about earlier, you go on my Facebook page, you'll see my video clips and my students' video clips all over my Facebook, all over my YouTube, all over my LinkedIn, all over my Twitter. We stand out by using these videos. I also use them in my books. I use them in my trainings. I use them in my seminars. I use them in my speeches. Any place that I can use a video clip of me or one of my students on TV news or talk show interviews, I insert it in because I'm the only one who's doing it. Nobody else does it. And that makes my stuff better and different and more powerful than everybody else's stuff. So keep in mind, everything today is about video marketing. And when you go on TV news and talk shows, you get great video assets to use and deploy throughout all your marketing.
And then with that enhanced credibility comes the higher authority, and it's easier to sell your products or your books or your seminars if you've got that higher level of credibility, right? Is that how it all works?
Not only is it easier to sell it, but it's easier to get premium pricing. I was doing a case study earlier today with one of my students who's a psychologist. A couple months ago, after doing my training program for about 9 months, she raised all of her prices with all of her clients 50%. She's now 50% higher than all of her competition, delivering the same service, just listening to people talk. Instead of getting paid $200 an hour like all her competitors and like she used to get, now she gets paid $300 an hour to listen to people talk about their problems. And she got that because she did so much TV last year and became a person with so much more credibility, authority, celebrity positioning, expert positioning. When you have all that, when you're perceived by your clients and prospects, I'm not saying that anybody's looking at her and thinking she's Kim Kardashian. They're not. But compared to all of her competition, she's a huge celebrity compared to them. And because of that, she's getting paid 50% more for doing the same exact work.
So a celebrity in her specific niche, which puts her at a higher place in the market, and people want to work with her because she's the expert.
Yeah, there's a concept known as status above merit. Who knows who's the best psychologist? But what I do know is that she has higher status than her competition. Now, she doesn't have the same status as Dr. Phil, but compared to her competitors, she's got way more status, and therefore she's getting paid $100 an hour more. When you add that up, I mean, the average person works 2,000 hours a year. That's just a 40-hour work week, right? When you add up 2,000 times 100, that's an extra 200 grand a year.
That's huge. That's really huge. Okay, awesome. So that's definitely the addresses like the ROI of building your profile and getting that publicity. Now, you mentioned Dan Kennedy earlier as a mentor of yours. Is there anyone else worth mentioning in terms of who you've learnt from over the years?
Dude, I've studied with everybody. Everybody. I've walked on fire with Tony Robbins himself. I've done Toltec wisdom studies with Don Miguel Ruiz himself. I've been in small room and small training programs with Brennan Burchard himself. You know, I've been in little tiny mastermind groups with James Malinchak, ABC's Secret Millionaire. I've done, you name it, I've studied with them. I've gotten mentorship from Jack Canfield, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul series. I've studied with everybody. I've invested my money. I put my money where my mouth is. And I'll tell you what, when I was on the Today Show, they said, well, Clint, you know, it's great. You can have all these goals, all these dreams. You can want to climb to the top of the highest mountain, but how do you make it happen? And my answer to that question was invest in mentors who can help to speed your path along the way. I've done it myself, and it's my number one piece of advice for anybody who wants to make stuff happen. Hey, you can figure it out on your own. There's nothing anybody can't figure out on their own. But you want to make rapid ascent. You want to accelerate your learning curve. You want to cut down the trial and error and the mistakes along the way. Invest in a mentor. Find the right mentor who can make your progress accelerate on turbocharge and make you look like a star. And you'll save a lot of time, money, effort, and looking like an idiot.
Such fantastic advice there, Clint. Getting a mentor is absolutely something that I've done in my business journey too, and can't speak highly enough of it. Finally, how can people find out more about you, Clint?
ClintArthur.tv. That's Clint, like Clint Eastwood. Arthur, like the king. .tv, like I am looking forward to seeing you on television.
Thank you so much, Clint. That's been a blast. You have yourself a great day, and thanks for coming on the show.
Cheers, Adam.
And that's a wrap for my chat with Clint Arthur. Certainly a larger-than-life character. Lots of interesting achievements, lots of TV shows, lots of high-profile connections that he's made over the years, and it made for an entertaining chat. But some of the takeaway points I got from that was, well, firstly, the power of mentors. It doesn't go without saying. It's worth reiterating and repeating till the cows come home that mentors are the people that you learn from, that help you fast track whatever it is that you're trying to do. You could spend your whole life trying to reach a certain level at whatever your pursuit is, and in this case marketing, but whatever it is in life. But you're going to accelerate that and get there a lot faster with the help of mentors. And you can see that Clint has had many throughout his career. The other really good takeaway that I got from that is if you are fortunate enough to get a TV appearance or any type of good media appearance for that matter, make sure you get a copy of it. Make sure that you use it on everything, because there's a certain level of credibility associated with all of these things. Now, of course, you may not be a better speaker or writer or marketer or whatever, but purely by the fact that you've been on TV or, for example, in the press or on radio or whatever, people perceive you to have a higher level of credibility. And it's true, because if you're good enough for the TV stations to put on air or the radio stations to put on air, then people perceive you to be more of an authority. And this is very important with building an audience, growing a business, marketing yourself. Even though a lot of the Australian audience, we're much more, I guess, humble and less inclined to toot our own horns with our Australian culture, but we still have to find a way to use these credibility indicators, even if we don't outwardly talk about them. But if they're on our website or in our bios that other people read out, then that's a very neat way of getting around it without sounding like you're talking yourself up too much. So anyway, that is the interview with Clint. The intent with these podcasts is to deliver actionable advice, and I hope we did on that show. If you've got any feedback, questions, guest suggestions or whatever, shoot me an email. I'm at adam.franklin@bluewiremedia.com.au, and you can tweet me at Franklin_Adam. And firstly, thanks for listening all the way to the end. If you have made it this far, I would love it if you took an extra 60 seconds or so to leave us a review on iTunes. It makes all the difference with our visibility on the iTunes search engine and allows us to keep the show rolling and to keep getting good quality guests on. So with that, I want to thank you and say goodbye. I'll see you on the next show.